So part one of the future that we want to prayerfully head towards being stronger and deeper in Stratford, continuing to invest and grow in that space. Like Sam said, it's been said more than once tonight. We said it over a decade ago. Stratford is like a beating heart for East London. It has been set up by the town planners to that end. And so it makes sense for us, therefore, to make sure that the heart is strong and healthy and growing. But hearts don't exist for themselves. Hearts exist to beat life around the body. That's how Stratford has been set up. Bring that map up again. You can see it. Stratford we haven't named it, but it's down kind of in that bottom corner there, and you can see the A12 goes up and northeast from Stratford. The A13 goes directly west and east out to the M25. That vertical line there, that represents the North Circular that intersects those two roads, Wanstead in the north, East Ham in the south, Stratford in the corner. The central line tracks along with the A12. The district line tracks along with the A13. We haven't got them there, but you've got, of course, the Romford Road and the Barking Road all coming out from Stratford and heading east. And, of course, now the Elizabeth line cuts through the middle of it all. I don't know how you picture it. You could talk about it like a loudspeaker, couldn't you? Everything kind of coming out from a central point. Or it looks a bit like a sail, doesn't it? Set up to catch the wind. Stratford has been set up as a hub for East London. And I remind you that 350,000 people live in that space. Conservative estimates, maybe 9% of them know Jesus Christ. 9% of them, which means 91% of them don't. And many of those maybe don't even know the good news about Jesus Christ. A vast number of people who do not know him. And so in the light of all of that is true about the area that we live in, and that is true about who we are and have become in the last 10 years as a church, we have felt compelled to ask as a leadership, and we've done it together over the last couple of years in our annual vision meetings. We've been compelled to ask the question, how can we go further and wider for the sake of East London? Or more specifically, given the positive experience we've had in the last few years of growing from one site to two sites, from being one church with one front door to one church with two front doors, specifically recently we've begun to ask the question, should we be sharing life with Jesus with East London by growing a family of Crossway congregations? Let me say that again. Should we be sharing life with Jesus in East London or with East London by growing a family of Crossway congregations? Let me remind you where we're at the moment. I think the next slide will give us a sense of that. This is us at the moment. So there is School 21 and St Matthew's, just a little way into that area, but still very much within the orbit of Stratford. That's who we are. And for a while, we've been asking this question, should we think about growing our family of congregations? That question has been percolating for a while prayerfully. And then last summer, it got a particular focus to it. Not because of anything we proactively pursued or any idea that we proactively had, but because of an opportunity that came our way. Andrew and I providentially, I'll tell you the full story another time, but Andrew and I providentially encountered a minister called David Gibbs, who is currently the pastor of a church up in Wanstead called Grace Church Wanstead. He approached us because he wanted to start a conversation with us as a church. In a spirit of great humility, he came to us saying two things. First of all, Grace Church Wanstead is struggling and has been for a little while. We're 20 to 25 people on a Sunday, and I'm not sure quite what the future is for us as a church, if we even have a future. And I don't know the answers to any of those questions, but you guys are nearby, and I'd love to come to you to talk with you about whether or not there might be some kind of plan for a future for ministry in Wanstead, so that the gospel can continue to be proclaimed and the word of God can continue to be taught. Andrew and I had that meeting with David over a cup of coffee, and I'll be honest with you, it wasn't as though it was a kind of light bulb moment or a penny drop moment or anything like that. What we said in that meeting was, we're so sorry to hear that it's been a struggle. Let us pray for you, which we did, and let us go away and think and talk about what might be possible. which we did. We started a conversation with our eldership, we let them know what had happened, and we began to talk and pray about what might be possible, but with no set agenda or ideas. But as we began to talk more and more, first of all as an eldership, and then more widely with leadership at Crossway, and then specifically with more and more people in our church family who live sort of up in that direction towards Wanstead and Woodford and that kind of thing. And then in recent days, more directly with Grace Church Wanstead again and their wider leadership. What's become increasingly clear is that we're persuaded that the best way to maintain a gospel witness up in Wanstead is by Crossway Stratford launching a third site up in Wanstead. That is to say, by adopting the current Grace Church Wanstead family into the bigger Crossway Church family, and then hopefully in the next year or so, encouraging probably what will be 20 to 30 people to head up to a new Sunday morning meeting of Crossway up in Wanstead. A third site, a third congregation, a growth of the family of congregations that Crossway Stratford currently is. You can see from the map, Wanstead is at the top corner of that area. It is, in a sense, the next big hub area. If we were to look out and on, thinking about the infrastructure of this part of the world, you head up the A12 and you hit the North Circular, and there is Wanstead on the Circle Line. Like I say, we've had really good conversations with Grace Church Wanstead about that, and they as a leadership are happy for us to move forward with this plan. A third site for Crossway Stratford with all of the benefits of being connected into the wider ministry that both St Matthew's and School 21 currently enjoy, but with the opportunity to make a gospel impact in a new area further out into East London. Like I say, the plan is under God for that to happen at some point in the next 12 months. So we're not in a hurry to do it. We will take time to get to know those folk who are up there in Wanstead. We'll take time to make good plans and make sure it's well-resourced and all of those kind of things. But that's what we'd love to see happening in the next 12 months or so. Now, I know as I say that, lots of you are asking all kinds of questions in your minds. How's that going to work? Who's going to go? What's that going to have by way of an impact on the staff team and the ministry? How are we going to remain interconnected? We've got answers to some of those questions, and we haven't got answers to all of those questions. But what we want to do tonight is to kickstart the conversation with everyone. Like I say, we've had lots of conversations with lots of people in our church family and as leadership groups, but tonight we want to kickstart the conversation more widely with everybody, and particularly over the course of the next 4 or 5 months as we head towards our 10th anniversary, which arrives in September, because we'd love in September to have landed firmly on this plan with a concrete plan in place and launch dates and all of that kind of thing for that third site. And I'd love to encourage each and every person here or tuning in tonight to make a beeline for a staff member or an elder to have a conversation, to get clear on what exactly it is we're talking about, and then to talk about the part that you might play in it. Because whilst a small number of people will be enthusiastic about heading to Crossway and Wanstead, the majority of us won't be doing that. But it will be a stretch for us as a result, because not only will it be a stretch getting things revitalised up in Wanstead, it'll also be a stretch for those of us who are left behind in these two spaces to step up into the opportunities for serving that are left behind. So we'd love everybody to be having a proactive conversation about the part that they're going to play in the future that the Lord is leading us to. But as you have that conversation and pray about what we're talking about, I want you to pray about an even bigger picture possibility that we've been praying about. Because as we thought about this and have thought, well, what can we do not just in the next year or two, but what might we do in the next 3 to 5 years, we thought to ourselves, why stop there? Why not prayerfully, in line with the geography of our area and the opportunities and experience that the Lord has given us, why not prayerfully plan towards a fourth site for Crossway in East Ham? East Ham is the bottom corner of that map, and the third kind of hub point, if you like. The A13, the district line plows out through East Ham. And so that plan is much further back. In fact, there's very little plan other than the words that are coming out of my mouth right now. Right? There's no building there. There's no church that needs revitalization. All we know is there's very, very, very little gospel witness in that place. There is huge need in that place. And we're excited by the thought of an interconnected collection of congregations all under the Crossway umbrella, working together, sharing resources, sharing leadership, sharing vision for the area, working together for the whole of this part of East London, and at the same time seeking to make an impact in their particular areas with the opportunities that God has given to us. In short, we're prayerfully pursuing a vision to share life with Jesus in East London by growing a family of Crossway congregations interconnected with each other, impacting East London for the gospel of Jesus Christ. So like I say, I know there'll be loads of questions flying around in people's minds, and we want to start the conversation tonight, but we want to start it in conversation with God himself and lay it before him. So I want to encourage you, before I get up one more time, just to turn into those pairs or those groups, whatever's easiest, and to pray about this, to ask for the Lord to lead us in whatever the best direction is for him and for the gospel in East London, and then I'll bring us back together.